The victims were getting into an SUV when 4 suspects came up on foot and opened fire. They jumped into an unknown vehicle and were gone by the time officers arrived. At the scene, officers performing life-saving actions, applying tourniquets, a chest seal, and doing CPR. All of the victims were transported to Northwestern, where one of the victims, a 34-year-old man who had been shot multiple times, was pronounced dead.
New footage has surfaced regarding the suspected individual who took out THF Boo. This person is famously the brother of 051 Melly and goes by the name 051. Woo! The details coming out of this are truly shocking. 51 Woo, sibling to Chicago's most notorious alleged serial killer. 051 Melly was gunned down in a violent ambush that has left the entire drill scene rattled. We have managed to uncover the specifics that aren't being discussed elsewhere. Beyond the digital taunting, the diss records, and the social media beef, 51 Woo was caught off guard and taken out in a way that has left the Young Money crew completely broken. This wasn't just a random casualty in Chicago. It was a pinpoint execution. It was retaliation, the streets finally balancing a ledger that had been open for over a decade. The grim reality behind the shooting in River North is far more twisted and deep-rooted than anyone could have guessed. From his brother Melly's alleged streak of violence to the 10-year blood feud with THF and the killing of THF Boo that triggered this latest wave. We're breaking it all down right now. You'll definitely want to stay tuned for this breakdown and the exclusive clips. Yo! What's up, everyone? We are diving into some heavy street business currently rattling the Chicago drill world. This is the kind of reporting that separates rumors from reality and facts from fiction. So, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and let's get into this intense story. Now, before we get into the details, I have to keep it real with you. The internet is flooded with theories about 051 Woo's passing, and everyone has their own take. Some claim THF was getting revenge for Bezu, while others suggest it was an inside setup or a backdoor play. But we are here to filter out the noise and show you exactly what occurred on that night in River North. December 28, 2024. That date marked a dark turning point for 051 Young Money. 051 Woo, a high-ranking member of his set and Melly's younger brother, was entering a lime green Lamborghini Urus in one of Chicago's wealthiest districts, River North, when shooters ambushed him and 3 others. This was supposed to be a safe zone miles away from the usual South Side conflict areas. Now hold on, before you assume this was just another everyday shooting, this wasn't random at all. This was the peak of a conflict that has been boiling since 2008, a war that has claimed dozens of lives between 51 Young Money and THF 46. But here is where the tension spikes. This hit took place only 2 months after THF Boo, the leader and head honcho of THF, was killed in October 2024. Following his death, 51 members were relentlessly mocking THF's loss online. The streets have a long memory and zero mercy, so check it out. 51 Woo, whose real name isn't widely known to protect his family, grew up in the South Side areas of Kenwood and Hyde Park. His home turf was 51st and Cottage Grove, right on the edge of Washington Park. This was 051 Young Money territory set under the Mickey Cobra umbrella. One of the city's most infamous affiliations, Woo wasn't just a regular associate. He was the younger brother of 051 Melly. In the world of Chicago drill, that name carries massive weight. Woo saw firsthand his brother's rise as one of the city's most feared shooters. Living through the constant cycle of retaliation and death that defined the drill era, in the hood, being related to a legend brings a lot of pressure and high expectations. But Woo's path took a different turn because he truly attempted to pivot. According to several reports, following his release years ago, he put in a massive effort to change his direction. He went back to school, took on grueling 12-hour work shifts, stayed out of trouble, and focused entirely on raising his children. He was moving differently, keeping a low profile, and trying to sever ties with the cycle. As one observer noted, the tragic part of this story is that Woo had actually reformed. He was educated, employed, and dedicated to his kids. Many people didn't even realize what he was up to until a public confrontation with Breezy brought him back into the spotlight. That represents significant personal growth. However, the streets have no regard for a redemption story. They don't care about your progress or that you've changed. If there is blood associated with your name, or if your crew has a history of violence, and you belong to a set that has been at war for a decade, the streets eventually come to collect. But this story goes much deeper than just Woo's personal transformation. To truly grasp why he was a target, you have to understand the reputation of his brother. 51 Melly, born Yarmo Williams, was allegedly one of the most prolific figures in the history of Chicago drill. We are talking about an individual allegedly linked to several high-profile murders, a man who terrified his rivals and moved with a cold, calculated ruthlessness. Both the streets and online investigators have tied Melly to a string of alleged hits. This includes the 2011 shooting of Lil Tony, where Lil Mark was the suspected gunman, but Melly was rumored to be involved. Then there was the 2015 execution of THF Chino, a close associate of Lil Durk and a respected THF figure. who was killed at a Stony Sub restaurant. Melly even posted a chilling message after that hit, claiming he always kept his promises to Lil Mark. Another major incident was the 2015 killing of THF Rahim, who was the stepson of THF. Boo Rahim was just a teenager when he was allegedly taken out by Melly in retaliation for a shooting that had previously wounded both Melly and 51 Ario during a notorious Instagram live session with THF Boo. Melly had the nerve to describe Rahim's final moments, mockingly asking Boo if he wanted a bedtime story about how Rahim went down a dark alley and never came out. For those who don't realize how heavy that disrespect is, let me break it down. In the world of Chicago drill, mocking the deceased is the ultimate form of mental warfare. It isn't just about the physical act. It's about breaking the families and ensuring the wounds never heal. Melly was a master of this psychological torture, which made him one of the most targeted and hated men in the city. Eventually, the lifestyle caught up to him as well. On May 14, 2019, 051 Melly was gunned down in what many believe was a collective hit from his numerous enemies. His passing sent a massive shock through Chicago. For Wu, the loss of his older sibling was life-shattering. Melly wasn't just family. He was his protector and the person who taught him how to survive the city's most dangerous blocks. After Melly was gone, Wu faced a crossroads. He could dive back into the violence, or he could double down on the stable life he had started to build. For a while, it seemed he had chosen the right way. But the streets have a way of pulling you back, especially when your rivals refuse to let you move past your origins. Now, let's look at the specific feud that ultimately led to Wu's death. The conflict between THF-46 and 051 Young Money is viewed by many as the most violent war in the history of drill. We are talking about a blood feud that has been burning since the mid-2000s and has claimed dozens of lives on both sides. According to THF Boo himself, the tension started back in 2007. In a past livestream, Boo admitted he had been on their heads since 2007. But the real escalation happened in 2008 with the killing of 051 Zico, real name Isaiah Walker. On September 27, 2008, a heated argument broke out between 051 and THF members inside a McDonald's on 47th Street. The tension eventually boiled over in the parking lot. That's when THF Akai reportedly pulled a weapon and fired on Zico multiple times. Zico is only 18, but he was a central figure for 051, so much so that the crew rebranded themselves as Zico World to keep his name alive. While Akai was caught and handed a 27-year sentence, the damage was irreversible. The war had officially begun. From that point on, the body count rose on both sides. In 2011, THF lost Quint in a drive-by. An incident 051's Montana later bragged about claiming it only took one shot. THF then suffered the loss of Gutter Boo's younger brother in a tragic accidental shooting. 51 kept the pressure on, allegedly taking out Lil Tony in 2011 and THF Black in 2012 with an AK-47. The disrespect was relentless, with 051 Melly even taking to Twitter to post gruesome jokes about Black's injuries. However, it was 2015 and 2016 when 051 truly dominated the conflict. As THF Zoo later admitted in a live session with Melly, those were the years when 051 really went up. In March 2015, they allegedly killed THF Chino, Lil Durk's manager, followed by Boo's stepson Rahim, in May. By 2016, they had taken out THF Tiber Berg, a veteran member, and eventually an associate named Short Mac in retaliation for a diss track. This story isn't just about street violence or death tolls. It's about a community caught in an endless loop of trauma. Every hit sparks fresh agony and a hunger for payback. Families are torn apart, and children are left to grow up without fathers as the cycle repeats across generations. The true catalyst for Wu's downfall, however, was the assassination of THF Boo in October 2024. Boo, or Courtney E., was the cornerstone of THF, the head honcho who had survived the streets for decades. He was a mentor and a leader, and his death left a massive void in the organization. More importantly, it left his circle devastated and looking for blood. This is where 051 made their gravest error. Instead of moving in silence, they took to the internet to gloat. A 051 rapper released a diss track, and multiple members were seen laughing on social media, essentially claiming credit for Boo's passing. Wu was right in the middle of it, trolling and celebrating the fall of a man who had been his set's rival for nearly 20 years. In this lifestyle, that's considered painting a target on your own back. As one creator pointed out, providing your enemies with more reasons to target you is a recipe for disaster. Real talk, when you're in a 15-year war with so much loss on both sides, you can't expect a troll without facing the music. The streets don't move on, and they certainly don't forgive. On December 28, 2025, around 2:35 a.m., 051 Wu was in River North, one of the city's most luxury areas. Far from the Southside battlegrounds, he was with three others, getting into a bright lime green Lamborghini Urus. That choice of vehicle was a fatal mistake. In a city like Chicago, a neon green Lamborghini is a beacon that screams for attention. You might as well be announcing your exact location to everyone. It's practically like wearing a sign that says, "I'm right here." Reports indicate that a white SUV pulled alongside them, and gunmen opened fire, striking Wu several times in the back and torso. He attempted to flee, but collapsed right there in the road. The 3 individuals with him were also caught in the gunfire, leaving them all in critical condition. The attackers ended up crashing their SUV during the getaway, but managed to vanish on foot. Wu was pronounced dead shortly after, either on the scene or at the hospital. Just like that, another life is snatched away by the streets. Another mother is left grieving. Another family is broken, and another name is added to the endless list of Chicago drill victims. The irony is truly heartbreaking. Wu had genuinely turned a corner. He was working, providing for his kids, and staying away from the drama. But when his brother's rival in his eyes, THF was taken out with Wu's death. Wu got sucked back into the energy. He started the trolling and the celebrating, turning himself back into a target. And the streets eventually came to collect. Many voices in Chicago are calling this direct payback for Bazoo. While THF had been moving in total silence since Wu's passing, they were clearly observing and when they saw the 051 camp trolling and spotted Wu in that loud green Lamborghini, they made their move. As one commentator pointed out, situations like this often end up as federal cases. Wu had 2 major points of friction recently. The situation with Breezy over the summer and his constant mocking of Boo's death. He was trolling Boo because Boo had spent years trolling his brother, Melly. Ultimately, what happened to 051 Wu is about more than just a gang feud. It's about the inescapable cycle of trauma that grips Chicago's South Side. It shows that the streets have no respect for your personal growth. One lapse in judgment, one choice to taunt your rivals, can cost you your entire life. Wu had made it through his brother's death, years of street life, and the loss of so many friends. He was finally doing things the right way, but the second he stepped back into the world of internet beef and celebrated Bejo's killing, his path was set. This war between THF and 051 has lasted over 15 years, claiming dozens of lives and traumatizing entire neighborhoods. And all of it for respect or a block that nobody actually owns. As Trench's News put it, people need to stop speaking on the dead because that energy is toxic. When you focus on the deceased, you often end up right there with them. Whether it's by the hands of your enemies or the weight of the lifestyle, the real question is, when does this stop? How many more lives have to be lost before it's clear that nobody wins this war? THF lost Beju, 051 lost Wu, and both sides are buried in a decade of grief. Yet the cycle just keeps spinning. To the youth watching this, understand that the streets don't have a heart. They don't care about your family or your future. They only take. Wu tried to escape it, but he let himself get pulled back in. Don't let that be how your story ends. Rest in peace 2051, Wu 051 Melly, and every single soul lost to this pointless violence. My heart goes out to the mothers and the children left behind without fathers. What do you think about Wu's situation in this never-ending cycle in Chicago? Do you see a way for this war to ever conclude? Let us know in the comments. If you've stayed with us this far, please hit the like button, subscribe, and ring that bell so you stay updated. We're here to give you the real, unfiltered stories that actually matter. Stay safe out there. Peace.